and scrambled eggs. Really simple.
Cook the man some fucking eggs, bitch!
There is no love lost between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. The two fighters have continued their father's feud from the early 90s forward to today. But where the feud between Chris Eubank Sr. and the Dark Destroyer Nigel Benn was a genuine loathing for each other, particularly from Benn's perspective, where he was authentically appalled by Eubank's haughtiness and arrogance, the feud between the two sons felt manufactured since it became a public talking point many years ago. That was then and this is now. The feud between the two absolutely feels genuine, and getting assaulted with a raw egg in public with all eyes and media watching on has only emboldened the disdain that these two feel for each other. Eubank Jr. loathes Conor and his drug cheating ways, as he has expressed so abundantly clear.
Man, you corny!
This is despite Conor being cleared of doping offences. And Conor's skin crawls at the arrogant peacocking nature of Chris Jr. So Saturday the 26th of April at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Tottenham, UK, much like the Capulets and the Montagues, these two will either settle the family feud or will just add another chapter to it, depending on how the night unfolds. Either way, I guarantee you never thought you'd hear a Shakespeare reference in a modern-day boxing fight breakdown.
Wanker.
You're the wanker, mate, if anyone is.
In the rich history of the father and son boxing dynamic, Chris Eubank Jr. and Sr. have made a successful pairing to some extent, but not in the way of a conventional boxing narrative. Not in the way of, say, Joe and Enzo Calzaghe, or Lomachenko and Papachenko, or to more recently and the most fruitful and successful of the examples mentioned here, Naoya and father and head trainer Shingo Inoue. Chris Eubank Jr. did have major title and legacy aspirations, going back only a few years ago. But the overbearing influence from Senior has stifled his career, it would seem. In 2016, meddling from Eubank Sr. scuttled Junior's title shot against then WBC, IBF and WBA champion Gennady Golovkin. Well, according to Eddie Hearn anyway. Then, before Conor's doping scandal, Senior wanted to pull Junior from the original Conor fight over concerns regarding Junior cutting weight for the agreed catch weight of 157 pounds. The same concerns were raised again in the early days of this upcoming bout. Despite not being in Junior's corner in recent years, both Senior and Junior have mutually benefited outcomes. Senior, to a certain degree, has been successful at keeping his son relatively safe, and Junior, now much older and past major belt aspirations, I believe, seems content making big money trading off the family name. In that regard, they've been successful, but the father and son team on the other side are coming to gatecrash the good times. This is exactly how I expect Conor Benn to come into this bout.
Stop it. Get some help.
The bulking up, weight and strength training tells me that Conor is most likely looking to rush Chris, crowd him, and unsettle the bigger, taller fighter with longer reach. Benn has always had good explosive power, but that was in his natural weight class at 147 pounds. With a 10-pound rehydration clause in place, both fighters will not only need to make the contest middleweight limit at weigh-in, but will be limited to 170 pounds the day of the fight. This means that Eubank Jr. won't feel as depleted as he would have the first time this bout was organised a couple of years ago, but that he'll also be shifting and moving lighter than he would with no rehydration clause in place. In other words, Benn, who will be coming into the bout the heaviest he's been and 2 divisions up from his career weight class, will have to cut the ring off, track and corner and attempt to hurt the bigger fighter in terms of height, frame and reach, who is also used to hitting and getting hit by bigger guys than Benn, and who will also be moving lighter due to the hydration clause, but most likely not so light that he'll feel drained in the fight. Both fighters have had recent bouts, so activity won't be a factor. Benn, who is unbeaten, is also younger than Chris by a few years, which I guess gives him the advantage of youth, but Chris keeps himself in incredible shape and lives a pretty clean life. He also has more experience as a pro and a much better resume. It's an interesting fight given the historical significance. A novelty fight, if you will, that will provide some exciting and thrilling moments in the first half of the bout. There will be some tense moments for Chris Eubank Jr. early in the fight, but I expect his greater boxing ability, experience, and boxing brain will withstand the early onslaught. I think Chris will use Benn's aggression against him, sniping Ben as he comes in and tying up when he needs to before eventually turning up the aggression back onto Ben as he starts to tire in the second half of the bout. I think Chris Eubank Jr. stops Conor Benn in the mid to late rounds and he notches up a second win for the Eubanks over the Benns. One thing's for sure, this fight will generate a huge crowd attendance, viewership, and a shitload of money for all involved. If for some reason the fight is a close contest, we could see another big payday fight for these two somewhere down the line, which would make them even richer. I have Eubank Jr. winning by stoppage. That's my pick. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching Pound for Pound TV. Please remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell for future updates. See you in the next one.